gets exciting when you start to look at that closer, because you go, wow, I can buy some of these existing loans that are out there that someone loaned the money and now they're not getting paid. I want to buy foreclosures, but I want to buy them that I don't have to rely on the fact that I didn't inspect them and all of that. I want to grab great loan to value positions. I'll buy defaulted or bad paper, we call it. Bad paper is a good thing, right? Let's say I went out and I loaned somebody $50,000 and it was first, and I go, oh, I want to sell my position because I got another really good deal that I want to get into, but this guy's not paying me. So I'm not getting the $500 a month anymore. It adds to the top of the loan. So I get it ultimately, but I got to go through the process. I may turn to you and say, Cameron, I got this $50,000 loan against a $100,000 property. The guy's not paying me. Here's the project. This is what it looks like. And you go, I'll buy it from you, because now you're buying the loan. Maybe you discount it. Maybe you go, oh, instead of 50, I'll give you 48. But all the back payments become property of yours. All of the default interest, that default interest might jump up automatically to whatever, maybe it's 18%. So you get the default interest. And you take it through the process. So you know this deal's going to take you 4 months to get it back. And if you get the property back, you get a $100,000 property for $48,000, right? Or you get paid off, which is an automatic return. Does that make sense? Interrupt me.
Yeah, I think I'm keeping up with most of it, but it seems we keep getting, like, we quickly move into very complicated.
Well, that's my job, is to make simple things more complicated. Well, it's exciting because I've seen the value. I'll give you an example of me. I had properties. I had a huge property portfolio, and those properties that were outstanding, I had my whole foundation of I was buying these properties, and some were good deals and some weren't. Mm-hmm. And as a young guy, I was, in my early 20s, but as a young guy, I used to think, well, any deal I could get funded, it's got to be a good deal, right? I mean, if some lender will loan it to me, I can take that on and build it up, and I can get a buyer in there. But as soon as I had more vacancies or a dip in the market, things like that, my whole real estate portfolio started to crumble. And so when you start to lose one, you start to lose a lot of them. Mm-hmm. You don't have the cash flow, and then, I got to, pay for this or that or whatever. I didn't recognize opportunities of bad paper until I was the guy that was being foreclosed on, right? And I looked and I went, I got to find a way to get all these lenders paid back. But my deal wasn't not paying the lenders, because the income, the rents were on there. But I looked back and I went, oh, wow, here I have all of the different loan positions that are established in here. What if I just bought the loan position and then foreclose the property? The foreclosure of the property will wipe out the judgment, and I can pay off my lenders. The fact that there's a mortgage placement on a piece of property is like a reserve of that equity. Let me say that again. When you have a mortgage that's placed against a property, what that lender is doing with that mortgage or deed of trust is they're reserving that loan on title against that property. Okay. It's not a free for all when you loan on a property that if it sells, hopefully we all get paid off, and if we don't get enough money, then we'll share in the loss. No, that's not the way those work. The way it works is the person who has the first mortgage for the amount of money that's less than the value that it's sold for, they get paid off in full. Then it goes to the second person. Then it goes to the third person in order of their recording dates on title. So if you're using smart loan-to-value rules for yourself, and you're going, okay, I'll loan only up to a certain loan-to-value against the property, certain amount, then what will happen is you reserve that piece of the equity. So if this is the case and there's an underlying first and it's only, 50% of the value, you get the position to get paid off first. Once those are out there and they're recorded, they become public notice. And you can look up any of those that you want to. They're all on notice. And any of those individual owners of the mortgages, they can sell their position. That reserve, that deed of trust or mortgage position is tradable. You can buy them from the bank. You can buy them from individuals. They can be created in a transaction. They can be a part of a sale between a new buyer and a seller of a property on an owner contract. These mortgage positions, you can look at them, and right there on title, you can go, here's the value I think it's worth, and here's what it is. That becomes valuable. It's good as a tool. You can look at any foreclosure. Let's say that you get a list. There's all kinds of lists out there today that you can go, I want all the foreclosures in the Colorado area, and I want to be able to look them up. Okay. Now, do you want to compete with all of the group of people that are trying to buy these at the auction? No, right? It's ridiculous because of the competition level is so high that the margins become thinner and thinner. Mm-hmm. Okay. We don't want to compete with those foreclosure buyers. We don't want to complete. The second thing that happens is most of these foreclosure buyers, when you learn at seminars and you go out there and you say, yeah, you can buy these foreclosures. And if someone's in foreclosure, you call them up and you say, hey, I understand that you're in foreclosure. I can help you out. Let's work a deal. That's a huge pool of people too. Okay. And it's really an uncomfortable situation I've never really liked to do. Oh, you're in foreclosure, so let's talk about that. Most people want to stick their head in the sand, and that's not their avenue. Here's what I'm saying. I've been the guy to go out and buy foreclosures, and I've also foreclosed on loans that I've lent on. When I was the guy that was being foreclosed on, I had hundreds of letters that came in of people who wanted to help me. Mm-hmm. When I was the lender foreclosing on someone, no one called me. And the lender is the one that has the paper that's in position that has all the power. And that's when I realized, okay, here, I have this big judgment against these properties. I can't do anything with this. There's too much owed against them. But when I was foreclosing on mortgages that were out there, no one would call me. Why didn't they call me, the lender, when I had this reserve of equity, this deed of trust, this mortgage position, and the property was worth so much more? Why weren't they calling me? And they didn't know how to do that. What would you do if you called a lender that was foreclosing on a property? You just have to buy their mortgage. There's not an industry that's created to buy mortgages for the public. There's an industry that's created to lend them money against property. So that is the widest pool that we can get into. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that's almost like hypothecation. It's if you're going to buy paper, and I'm putting this in your in an area, a sphere that you can look at as possibilities. If you're going to buy foreclosures, maybe instead of the competition of buying the foreclosures, maybe your avenue is to buy property that you know is in foreclosure, call the lender, and make the lender an offer to take that right off his plate. You don't even have to foreclose it. You don't have to worry about what you're going to get back if you get it. I'm going to buy your note or mortgage, and you do the foreclosure process and be the one paid off. Now you're making that, the difference between what you purchased the note for and what the note ultimately gets paid off. That can be huge.